Renegade Immortal, Chapter 589, Bet 2. Hello, welcome back to my channel, Books with AR. This seventh sound was very different from the first six. There seemed to be a killing intent hidden deep within it. Mo Fei's always calm face changed for the first time, and without any hesitation, he quickly backed up. As he backed up, the armor on his body exploded into ashes and dissipated. Mo Fei's face was somewhat pale, but he stopped his body, let out a roar, and charged out once more. This time, his hand formed seals, and strands of energy came out of his body, forming a crystal-like mirror that circled around him. He hit the drum with his finger, and the demon drum rang once more. This was the 8th time. An even more violent backlash rushed at Mo Fei, causing all of the crystal mirrors around him to shatter. However, even though the mirrors weakened the force by a lot, when it landed on Mo Fei's body, it still caused him to retreat more than 1,000 feet before he stabilized himself. His mask completely shattered, revealing his handsome face. Wang Lin's eyes immediately narrowed as he stared at Mo Fei's eyes. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with a mysterious light. This appearance... Wang Lin was able to recognize at a glance that this person looked exactly the same as the black-haired man in the depths of Hong Prison. At this moment, Mo Fei's body trembled and forcibly swallowed the blood that had rushed to his mouth. Then he took a deep breath before turning around and walking toward the demon generals. At this moment, loud cheers came from the square. This sound was extremely loud and seemed to overshadow everything else. Mo Fei, the #1 among demon generals! For him to ring it 8 times, Mo Fei is #1 below the commander-in-chiefs. This time, Mo Fei will definitely become a vice commander-in-chief. He has many military exploits, and once he becomes a vice commander-in-chief, he will achieve many military victories for our sky demon country. The heaven commander-in-chief was still calm and showed no sign of being impressed by Mo Fei, while the other 7 commanders-in-chiefs all revealed deep looks of admiration for Mo Fei's talent. For this child to be able to ring it 8 times, he can be considered a genius among geniuses. Good. That's right. From my observations, this child doesn't seem to be using his full force. If he really tries, he might be able to ring it a 9th time. To be so cunning at such a young age is extremely rare. The vice commanders-in-chief were also talking to each other. The yellow vice commander-in-chief smiled at the swan vice commander-in-chief and said, "Are you still not going to admit defeat?" The swan vice commander-in-chief let out a snort and said with a firm tone, "This Mo Fei is strong, very strong. I was not as strong as him when I was his age. It can even be said that once he goes through the baptism at the Dragon Lake, he will be even stronger than me. But, compared to the person I chose, Mo Fei is still not enough." The yellow vice commander-in-chief originally didn't care too much about this wager, but seeing the swan vice commander-in-chief, who was equal in strength to him, constantly praising this person, was strange. He had a vague feeling that this was no longer praise, because he could almost hear fear in the swan vice commander-in-chief's voice. He couldn't help but be extremely shocked. The yellow vice commander-in-chief faintly smiled and said, "Good, then I want to see how many times this person can ring the drum." The swan vice commander-in-chief pondered as he looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression and thought to himself, "Mo Fei is merely strong, while Wang Lin is terrifying. Can you compare strong and terrifying?" The golden-armored man watched Mo Fei walk back into the crowd of demon generals. His eyes were filled with admiration for Mo Fei's talent, and for the first time, he smiled. "Demon General Mo Fei's helper, come out." A green-robed cultivator with a giant sword on his back came out. It felt like he was a sword when he was standing there. The moment he stepped out, he turned into a cloud of green smoke and charged at the drum. At the moment he closed in on the drum, his hand formed a seal and pointed at the void, causing the drum to beat once. Then, his hand turned to a palm, he chanted a complex chant and slammed forward, causing the drum to beat once more. The fierce backlash caused his face to turn slightly pale, but he didn't retreat. Instead, he grabbed the sword on his back and swung down. A ray of sword energy cut through the backlash and drum beat before landing on the drum. The drum echoed once more. After the third ring, the cultivator's face was extremely pale from the powerful force rushing at him. Every time he hit the drum, he suffered backlash several times stronger than the previous hit. He let out a wise smile before backing off without any hesitation and no longer tried to hit it. With my cultivation, 3 is easy. If I really give it all I got, 4 is possible. If I tried to go for the 5th time, I would be seriously injured. Mo Fei's victory is already set, so it is really not worth it to get seriously injured because of him. The green-robed cultivator pondered a bit and walked back into the crowd of demon generals. 11 times. Mo Fei and his helper were able to ring the drum a total of 11 times. This result caused the expressions of a lot of the demon generals to darken. To beat this score, the demon generals and their helpers would have to ring the drum 6 times each. However, this was an almost impossible task. After all, among all the demon generals, there was only one Mo Fei. Even Mo Li Hai's face was extremely pale. He bitterly looked at the demon drum and then at Wang Lin with a gloomy expression. He let out a sigh and whispered, "Brother Wang, forget it. We lost the second round." There was another person among the demon generals, xianxia. His face was dark as he stared at the demon drum and asked, "Chen Tao, how many times can you ring it?" Chen Tao pondered a bit and said, "If I was at full force, I could ring it more than 10 times. I don't know the exact amount. However, now, even with the pill, I can only ring it 7 times, which is not more than Mo Fei. This Mo Fei is extremely strong. In the cultivating world, he can be considered number 1 below the ascendant stage. Even ascendant cultivators would need to be at the mid-stage to be a match for him." Shi Xiao revealed killing intent as he looked at Mo Fei, who had closed his eyes to cultivate after turning and letting out a cold snort. Aside from them, there were several people among the demon generals that were calculating how many times they could beat the drums and their chances of entering the top 10. The golden-armored man coldly looked at the crowd. His eyes contained ridicule as he pointed at Wang Lin and slowly said, "You, come out." Wang Lin calmly arrived at the top of the square. His eyes were like lightning as he looked at the golden-armored man and calmly said, "I'm not called you. My name is Wang Lin." The golden-armored man didn't hide the killing intent in his eyes and said, "Wang Lin, do you dare to bet with me?" Wang Lin said, "Speak." "I bet that you can't beat the drum 5 times. If you can, then I'll personally recommend you to the Demon Emperor and guarantee you will at least get the position of Demon General. But if you lose, you will have to take responsibility for injuring a Demon General. If you don't dare to bet, then scram off this stage and get the hell out of Sky Demon City. You are not welcome here." After the golden-armored man finished speaking, sounds of discussions filled the area. Beat it 5 times. Although this foreigner beat Aodi, ringing this drum is truly a test. At most, I think he can ring it 3 times, and that's already considered pretty good. That Aodi at most can only ring it once. Aodi is only considered mid-tier among demon generals. Shi Xiao, Mo Fei, Wu Sen, and many others can easily win against him. Wang Lin beating Aodi doesn't mean much. The Golden Chief Steward is interesting to make a bet with this foreigner. The yellow vice commander-in-chief smiled at the swan vice commander-in-chief and said, "The person you chose seems to have some bad luck." The swan vice commander-in-chief looked at Wang Lin before letting out a snort and saying, "The Golden Chief Steward will experience a big surprise." Wang Lin calmly looked at the golden-armored man and gradually revealed a faint smile. However, when this faint smile landed in the swan vice commander-in-chief's eyes, he couldn't help but feel a chill. The swan vice commander-in-chief clenched his teeth and thought, he also smiled like this when he attacked me back then. Wang Lin faintly smiled. "I don't need you to recommend me to the Demon Emperor." The golden-armored man revealed contempt and said, "You don't dare to bet?" Wang Lin's voice was like the cold wind from the 9th level of hell. "I want one of your hands." This sentence caused everyone to be shocked. Just at this moment, Wang Lin stepped toward the demon drum. The golden-armored man revealed a hint of killing intent in his eyes and smiled. "If you can ring it more than 5 times, I'll give you a hand. Hell, if you can ring it 10 times, I'll give you both my hands. No problem." This Wang Lin is simply too arrogant. I'm afraid he is overestimating himself. How can ringing this drum be that simple? When this person experiences the backlash from the demon drum, he will know just how wrong he is. This is unfortunate for Movi High. I'm afraid that because of this person, he will have no face for the next 300 years. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he walked toward the demon drum. He walked very calmly and stopped right before the demon drum. He didn't try to beat the drum from far away to lessen the force of the backlash. After arriving directly below the demon drum, he floated into the air, and looking at the huge demon drum, it was as if he could feel a faint fishy smell from it. The surface of this drum wasn't smooth like a mirror, and instead had many concave points and subtle veins. It was just like a piece of hide from a monster. Skin of the ancient demon. Wang Lin stretched out his right hand and touched the demon drum. When he touched it, he felt waves of force pushing back at him. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. At this moment, all of his life seals gathered around him. More than 3,000 life seals completely surrounded him. "Bet that I can hit it more than 5 times." Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and took out a wine jug. The wine jug was filled with wine. He grabbed it with his left hand and took a big gulp. Then he smiled and said, "Lord Golden Armor, watch carefully." Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal, then punched at the demon drum. Dong! The sound of the drum echoed across the square and the sky like rolling thunder. Wang Lin's body didn't move at all. He withdrew his fist 3 inches, and right after he did so, he punched once more. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Dong, 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 dong. 4 times in a row. These 4 rings of the drum came out at the same time, caught up to the first ring and silently fused, created the storm of sound that spread wildly with the demon drum as the center. The square began to shatter inch by inch as if there was a giant earth dragon moving underneath it. In the sky, the thunder created by the drum became even more powerful. Countless people in the stands coughed up blood as they directly suffered severe internal injuries from this 5-in-1 drum beat. There were even several people that were completely knocked unconscious by the sound. Aside from the Heaven Commander-in-Chief, the remaining 7 Commander-in-Chiefs all stood up and revealed looks of disbelief. The expression of the golden-armored man on the square changed greatly. The 5 thunderous drum beats weren't very shocking. What really shocked everyone was that Wang Lin's body hadn't moved at all. The yellow vice commander-in-chief shouted, This is impossible!"